Hi, I'm Eli Martinez, editor of Shark Diver Magazine, and this is our video blog for sharkdivermag.com. I'm back in the office. Isla Mujeres was amazing, the whale shark adventure. Unfortunately it had to end, but that's my job. I go to places, I dive with sharks, and then I come back and I tell you all about it. This was my first season out to Isla Mujeres, and it was amazing. Normally I go to Holbox. We've been going out there for the past, this was season number 7, and for the past 6 years I've been going to Holbox, but the past 2 seasons I've been spending all my time out in the waters near Isla Mujeres, so I decided to make the jump. As much as I love Holbox, I miss the island. The people are amazing. It's different shark action over there. There is a huge difference between the encounters off of the waters of Holbox versus the blue waters of Isla Mujeres. In the Holbox waters, the whale sharks tend to have these huge aggregations of fish around them. They got these big bait balls that hang around when the whale shark's there. In Isla Mujeres, you don't get that. You get more, the sharks really don't have a huge entourage with them. The aggregations of whale sharks are much bigger off of Isla Mujeres, which is why I made the jump. I was spending all my time out there, and the boat rides from Holbox to Isla Mujeres were about 3 hours to get there and the way back, and it was just brutal on the body. So I decided to make the jump and decided to stay off of Isla Mujeres, and I wasn't disappointed. The people there are just as amazing. There's a lot more to do on the island because it's a lot more touristy, but the people embrace the whale shark just like they do on Holbox. There's a few tweaks that I think need to happen, whereas yes, they embrace the whale shark and the manta ray, but the other species of sharks, they those are kind of like second-class citizens to them, and they're fishing them out. Like most of the time in Holbox, when all the tourists are out diving with sharks, when we're out in the waters, the fishermen are bringing in their catch of other species of sharks. So that's kind of something they're slipping underneath the curtain, and so that the people don't really see, or they don't really get an eye on. But Holbox Island is a shark fisherman's island that converted to tourism, which is a great thing. It's just a few more tweaks, and if we can just get them to care about the other species of sharks, they're going to have an extremely amazing place. And the same thing goes for Isla Mujeres. Isla Mujeres, I found a lot of nurse shark jaws that were on sale in some of the shops around the city, and that's kind of for me, that's horrifying. The idea that there's an actual fishery, just the idea of a fishery for nurse sharks is a horrible thought. This is a completely defenseless animal, in that there's not a mean bone in a nurse shark's body, and so here the idea of these people fishing them up and catching them, it reminds me of stories of the dodo. Whereas if there does become a fishery for nurse sharks, they don't stand a chance. They'll be devastated to the point where we'll never see them again. The government, thank you to the government for protecting these sharks. I think there needs to be a lot more tweaks to the law as far as how many boats are allowed out there, the permits that are allowed. I understand that yes, the more permits that they have out there for the people, more tourism, it's more exciting, but you got to think about the long term for the whale sharks. I did see a few things. One thing I want to do is a shout out. I don't know if any of the government officials will be watching this, but in the shark park, the boats need to refrain from throwing those engines in reverse, because they never know when those sharks are coming. There's a lot of sharks out there that do have some prop damage to them, and so there needs to be a little bit in regards to safety for the animal. The safety for the people is first class. Everybody's watching for divers, but they need to watch a little bit tighter for whale sharks. And this is for the long-term safety of the animal. If you guys are going to sustain this thing, I think that there needs to be a few tweaks to what the boats can and can't do out there, because they are damaging those sharks. Not only are the sharks breathing in all those, all the gas fumes and oil fumes that that are floating around at the surface, because the sharks are ram feeding at the surface. And that's something, yeah, unfortunately it's avoidable. You know, that's the double-edged sword of ecotourism. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. And ecotourism is the only thing that's going to save sharks. So I'm not condemning, I'm not saying we need to stop ecotourism. I think that's the shark's salvation. But what I am saying is that if you're going to be putting more boats out there and you're going to get more operators to bring tourists out there, then you need to create a few more strict, more laws to protect the sharks from the boats, you know, from the boats themselves. Because yeah, they're, you know, it is quite damaging, and I did witness some, you know, some things that were really disturbing. You know, in this video that I'm posting that you guys are watching right now, the boat was backing up as a whale shark was under. He didn't see the whale shark, but had we not, you know, had myself and one of the other guides out there not screamed out, that guy would have just, you know, really, you know, he could have hurt that shark. So there's just a few tweaks to the law, and I think it's going to benefit the sharks and benefit the tourism for the long run.